Cow Reports, and we're here in Washington, D.C., where over 1,000 ministers of all faiths have gathered to march for social injustices. The point of today's march is to hold Attorney General Jeff Sessions accountable for the civil rights of all Americans. Today, the ministers are marching for health care, voting rights, criminal justice reform, and economic reform.
We need to be a voice of justice. I think we need to be the prophetic voice in our communities.
There's a lot of evil that's been uncovered, and I think now that we're seeing it, there's another power, there's a greater power that we can tap into.
Especially with the rollback that's happening in the Justice Department, that the prophetic wing of the Black church has to raise its voice to ensure that communities across the nation are aware that these policies will affect Black, brown, and poor people.
The interfaith protest took place on the 54th anniversary of the March on Washington and on the heels of news that President Trump has overturned a military ban that will allow state police to use military equipment. Martin Luther King Jr. III, who attended the protest, spoke of the importance of people of faith being active in their communities.
When ministers come together, as today, the transformation of America can begin. Because again, in 1955 and the 60s, it was Black ministers, it was rabbis who came, it was imams that came, it was Greek Orthodox members, it was Catholics. So it was religious leaders that came together to change the nation.
The event was held by Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network and only called for 1,000 ministers, but there was a turnout of over 3,000 people. The day was filled with uplifting but subversive messages from several speakers, including the Reverend Jesse Jackson,
we're showing indifference to our rights and
who spoke about voting issues and how his organization plans to combat them.
We're having a meeting here February 13th to focus on the schemes of voter undercut, voter purging. And so we're going to save elections by voting and having our vote to count.
When asked the importance of protesting and what he thought of the march, scholar and sociology professor Michael Eric Dyson had this to say.
What happened here today was extremely important. You've got Reverend Al Sharpton, the moral leader of America at this point, articulating a vision of bringing together religious people from across the spectrum to organize together to say what we see going on in this country is wrong, what is coming out of the White House is depraved, what is coming out of the cesspool of American right-wing ideology is bigoted, and we've got to raise our voices against it.
TV One News host Roland Martin, who was in attendance but did not give a speech, shared a similar sentiment. He says the Trump administration is not paying attention and they plan to fight them at every turn. Al Sharpton says they are planning more protests in the future and will not give up. I'm Deanne Gaston for Cow Reports.